to presently, but also for that to move forward and for it to be consolidated into existing support going forward. Thirdly, we found through evaluating the different projects through their different means of engagement that obviously depending on personal preference, and at that time it was one of the strict lockdowns, so most of all the engagement work was done digitally, which obviously were barriers in order, to engage with people at that time. But we did find that some sites did find that really useful, and some young carers we spoke to found that that was a good way moving forward. And it was necessary for that digital involvement for some. But one of those really important things there about the effective way of engaging was the co-production. So all of the case study sites, the projects involving their communities was co-produced and co-designed, and therefore that was very important in terms of carers feeling listened to moving forward and how that was implemented next. So we can see there in terms of what matters most to carers moving forward, unanimously across all sites, everybody hoped for change. They didn't want it to be just a tick box exercise, something they've been involved in and that it was going to disappear. They wanted real outcomes and they wanted tangible, tangible rewards, tangible outcomes from the engagement and being listened to in their projects. So there was that real hope for change. And also moving forward, that those could then be embedded as well. So lastly, we found that through those scoping exercises, the recommendations that were provided by the projects in their reports reflected what the carers wanted. And these were obviously dependent on each site and their project and also the community group that they were representing. And you can see from the bottom row there, in terms of those recommendations, we saw that they wanted to carry on. As I say, it wasn't just something that was now, it wanted to move forward, making sure that there were outcomes were implemented, mainly in terms of raising awareness for all across all sites. Also, improvement to GP services and systems being improved was very important for 2 of the sites. And we can also see there with implementation of a transition passport for young carers, which now, when we are engaging with our embedding projects, that site is implementing that, which is a real positive thing. So it's just really good to, obviously, we can go into this in much detail in the report, but just to highlight some of those key themes there across the 3 sites that we evaluated last year. Steve, next slide, please. So again, a little bit repetitive, but just to really highlight, this is what we want to do again, obviously this year, with more sites in terms of embedding and scoping, so that we can share moving forward some key learning points that can be shared across the sites and the organisations we're speaking to, and also specifically to that cohort of carers. But when we evaluated all the projects last year, Mind the Gap was a positive experience overwhelmingly for everybody involved in terms of feeling listened to, feeling empowered throughout that. There was obviously some challenges, as I said before, due to COVID and obviously caring responsibilities in time in order to be involved, and obviously in the project and with ourselves being evaluated too. But as I say, it was really important that carers' voices are reflected within our evaluation, which we aim to do again this year alongside, wider beneficiaries. And it's really important for us to see those tangible outcomes, which we can already from speaking to the embedding projects this year, the really good work they did last year, and we can see that now being implemented from those recommendations of the report. So our key, common learning points from last year was that it can't be, a one-tick exercise. It needs to carry forward. Networking needs to improve to understand different changes in practice and culture, and also to improve and carry on that ongoing consultation and support for those people that have been involved as well. And as I say, it was such a great positive experience last year, and it already is this year. It's amazing, and we're really looking forward to carrying on to evaluate all of those sites that Sarah's mentioned in terms of what matters most to the carers involved in each of the projects, and also then speaking to wider beneficiaries in order to understand some of the impact of the projects as well. So I'll pass back on to Sarah. Next slide, please. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you. Yeah, so this slide then just sums up what Sarah was talking about really in relation to our external evaluation for this year, that the aims are to, in relation to carers, to ask about their experience of Mind the Gap and whether that was meaningful to them, to explore some of those themes from last year again this year, what matters most to carers, and to look at you know, whether this is that's reflected in the recommendations, and how to improve wellbeing as well, and to kind of share that learning across the sites we're evaluating. And then we're also, in relation to wider beneficiaries, looking to evaluate and evidence culture changes within services, and explore sustainability and scalability moving forward. And we've been doing this because we've started our evaluation, and we've been doing this in a variety of different ways, working with the sites to look at the most appropriate methods of engagement. So next slide, please, Steve. Thank you. And this is just a little bit about our methods. As I say, you know, that this is quite a brief overview because we're very adaptable and flexible in relation to how we carry out our evaluation, depending on the needs of communities and availability, accessibility, etc. But just to kind of sum up, so our evaluation, we're focusing on all 4 embedding projects. And then we're also evaluating 6 of the scoping projects as well. And this year we're taking a themed approach, and we're focusing on 6 of the scoping projects across the 2 themes of veterans and drug and alcohol misuse. And the 6 scoping projects have been informed that they're being externally evaluated, and we've also been in contact with all of those projects as well, and begun working with a few of those, and we're looking forward to meeting with the remaining scoping projects that we're evaluating in the next couple of weeks. So essentially, we're going to be working with all projects that we're evaluating to find the best way to engage with carers and wider beneficiaries. And we've been doing lots of different things, speaking to carers in different ways, and also in relation to wider beneficiaries, and been attending different training events and different multi-agency meetings that have been going on. So it's been really fascinating so far. You know, hearing about the work, and also just already starting to see all the great learning and all the themes that are developing through our evaluation already, and obviously this will continue moving forward. Our focus is on a qualitative approach, you know, gaining those perspectives and in-depth narratives from carers and wider beneficiaries to understand their needs and what matters most, particularly moving forward beyond Mind the Gap. So we'll look forward to kind of bringing all this together in due course, and obviously sharing our key learning points at the final event as well once we've finished our evaluation. So next slide, please, Steve. So that's it. So hopefully we've not taken up too much of your time. So there's our email addresses if anyone does want to get in touch with us or has any comments or questions for us. But thank you very much for your time. Thanks very much.
Thank you. That's really helpful and nice to kind of capture in a snapshot some of the benefits and challenges as well around the whole process. And I think what's really interesting is that we've had these 17 presentations today that have featured projects that have all gone on against a backdrop of a really challenging pandemic, and the outputs are absolutely phenomenal. And I think it's definitely learning for us across health and social care and the voluntary sector about how we can work very differently together, but also how we can build on what's happened now that we are, touch wood, able to mix a bit more and start getting back into a more sort of dispersed way of working as well. So fantastic. So we do have some time now for questions and comments. If there's anything anybody wants to say, if you can use the raise your hand icon, that would be absolutely great. Suspiciously quiet. Even Debbie Hustings not saying anything. Debbie, what's going on? It may well be.
And I am so, and I'm sorry that I've missed some of them. I had to go off and attend another meeting, but I mean, what we've heard here is such a variety of carers who experience health inequalities, and it's just amazing work, isn't it? It's absolutely inspirational, and it wouldn't have happened without this NHS England funding, which I think is key. I mean, from our own project that I was privileged to start in Surrey Heartlands, I think our colleagues from Liverpool are quite right. It's the sustainability, using this as an opportunity to really put down roots and to really embed it in our systems working. I think where it sits within the system may not be specifically related to carers or in that carers work programme. It may well sit better in the population health and inequalities programme, but it's just really inspirational. And of course, you'll know that I love hearing about the armed forces carers.
Thanks, Debs. And I think it's a sort of good point made there as well around sustainability. We've had challenge over the years about why the grants that we give in this area are quite small sums of money, although for some organisations actually up to £10,000 is quite a significant amount. But actually, if you're thinking about sustainability with the current sort of economic background we have at the moment, actually, if you are sort of priming things to ridiculous levels, you're never going to sustain them, because we need to find ways, as Debbie was saying, of embedding stuff across more diverse work areas and pathways within our localities so that they do stick and people don't say, well, hang on a minute, we can't do that, it's too difficult or it costs too much. It's something that we need to see embedded into our just day-to-day business, so really helpful. Any other comments or questions from anyone? No, in which case, oh, Verity, quickly.
Sorry, nearly got away with it. I'll be quick so everyone can still leave early. It was just to remind everyone, Jen's already said it, but the final reports are due on the 8th of March, and to make sure that you're sending your invoices in when you send those final reports. And the other thing is that we'll have a kind of a celebration event to share all of your learning, and at that we'll invite kind of everybody. And last year we had around 400 people who attended that. So those invites will be coming to your diary soon. And we'll do breakout rooms, so it won't be for as long as today, but we're just really keen to share everything that you've done and enable other people to have the opportunity to listen. So it's just to let you know about that. I can see I'll pass to Prince.
Thanks. Come on, Prince.
Hi, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but we are in the middle of our field work, although it's coming to an end. And it's not, and obviously we want to try and get as much, reach as many people as possible. And so we didn't want to prematurely kind of close it. So we're giving people an opportunity to really come back to us. And so I think I can pretty much say right now that it'll be really quite unrealistic to expect for us to come back to you for the 8th. But I mean, what we were very much working to a deadline for trying to do something for the end of March.
But Prince, I think you probably need to follow that up in person with Steve or Verity.
Right. I'm just wondering whether or not it's a hard and fast rule or anything. But yeah, okay.
So we'll prematurely put you on the naughty step. But if you have a talk to Steve and Verity, they may decide that they can give you some leeway.
Well, I always used to sit on the naughty corner in primary school, so
you and me both, we'd be good buddies. Brilliant. So thank you. I can't see any other hands up, so we will give you back 10 minutes of your time. So use it wisely. Please get fresh air, move around, get yourselves a cuppa. And thank you again so much to everyone that presented. It has been absolutely phenomenal to hear of people's experiences. Grab is in my head. I'm going to go away today with her experiences very much resonating with me, and all of the other carers who shared their voices and experiences through other media as well. It's, you know, this is what our jobs are about. So thank you so much. Your commitment and energy is really appreciated, and I look forward to seeing you all again at the celebration event. Take care, everybody. Bye.